You're tuned into the Fresh Ice Hockey Podcast, brought to you by Zeno Pucks. Here are your hosts, Andy and Brian Matusi.
All right, so we're going to start this show a little different than we would normally do. Typically, when we do this podcast, we mostly focus on the on-ice product itself, the game of hockey, things about the game of hockey. We don't normally do anything political or kind of go in any direction like that, or even deal with sensitive matters in general. We generally stay away. Really, the only thing we got in depth with was with Johnny Gaudreau last year, or I guess the year before now. But a little while back, Linus Ullmark stepped away from the Senators just to deal with some personal stuff that he had going on. And in the time since that's happened, some pretty nasty rumors came out about him and about the team. And, you know, there was a cheating allegation and this and that. And none of it's true as far as anybody can tell. But Linus Ullmark had an interview with TSN, and I think it was like a 25-minute interview, and he really opened up not only about the mental health struggles that he's had since leaving the Bruins, but about everything he's dealt with these scandals and the social media rumors since he took this leave of absence. And I thought it was important that we talk about it on this show. So Linus, in so many words, you know, he said that he's had some really tough times since leaving Boston. It kind of really screwed up his life. Kind of wondered if he wanted to even continue playing hockey, just like going through some really nasty shit. And so he takes some time away from his current team, the Senators, and tries to get his head right. And while he's gone, these awful rumors come out about him having an affair and other guys on the team having affairs and so on and so forth. And it's just, when you find out what he's dealing with, to hear that people are just assuming that he's cheating on his wife is really kind of a sad thing to see. This guy's having unimaginably awful thoughts since, you know, he's been battling some kind of demon since leaving Boston. And to have somebody kind of upend his life in front of him like this with a bunch of made up bullshit, it's pretty difficult to see.
Yeah, it's I mean, the only word to describe it is disgusting. And unwarranted. I mean, that's the problem these days, I think, with social media and just everybody having all this power at their fingertips. You don't realize how what might seem like just messing around on your end, how much that can screw up somebody's life. And go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, well, and the rumors aside, because I mean, I do want to spend some time talking about that. But the other side of this that keeps getting lost is all the rest of the stuff he said with like what he's been going through, where his headspace is, where he had doubts about what he should even be doing in his life, like that kind of thing. And we're gonna get a little candid here. Andrew, you, after you served in the United States military, after you got out, you dealt with some PTSD, and you've definitely gone through a dark mental and emotional state. And I kind of want to just give you the floor here to talk about what that's like, because if anybody's experienced kind of similar stuff to what Ullmark's going through as far as emotional and mental trauma, I think it's you.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, I'm not in his head, and everybody's situation is different. So it's wrong to speculate, but what I can tell you is this. When you're in that state of mind, the best way to describe how you feel is alone. And it's not necessarily from a lack of people offering to help, but what it is that as good natured as it may seem coming from people who are offering to help you, a lot of times people don't know how to help. But a big part of it is you have to want to help yourself too. And I'm not saying he doesn't by any stretch. But when you're in that headspace, nothing else in life is going to matter to you. And it's certainly not going to benefit anything you do. In this case, his performance, his role as a husband, as a father, as a hockey player in general, he's just not there. And the worst thing somebody can do to you when you're in that headspace is bring you back down. And I know what it feels like to feel alone. And like I said, it's not from lack of people reaching out. It's just the feeling. The biggest issue with it is you don't want to bring your problems to other people because you don't want to feel like a burden on them, whether it's because you feel that they won't understand or they're not able to help. It's just you don't want to feel like you're an inconvenience to other people, like more than you already do. And you may not be, but that's just how you feel. And, at the end of the day, at least for me personally, it really took me realizing that at the end of the day, nobody's going to be able to help me unless I want to help myself. And I have to be willing to talk about things, and I have to talk to a professional. Obviously, your family who cares about you is there to help you and reach out in any way they can. However, when you're in this space, you need professional help, and that's the only thing that's going to bring you out of it. And some people just aren't comfortable talking about it with strangers. I know a lot of guys who just bottle, especially military guys, who just bottle everything up and they don't talk about shit to this day. For me, I tried that and it just brought me down even further into a darker place. And you realize you have to address, I hate to use this term because it sounds so cliche, but you have to learn to address these demons out loud. Because if you just bottle everything up, that's where trauma thrives, is when you keep everything bottled up. And we don't know what he's going through, obviously, and what's causing him to feel this way. But you hate to see somebody go through it, especially when you've been through it yourself. And for me, I always tell people, I'm always an ear to listen. And the thing is, I know the hole that you're in. I've been in that hole before, but I know how to get out of it because I've done it. And I'm not saying I still don't struggle with things, because we all do. Every single person has something that they're going through mentally. None of us live these perfect, happy lives. We all have something that bothers us to some extent. But you have to be willing to talk about it. And you'll never get out of that hole if you don't. There's resources out there, and obviously, the player assistance program is out there, but you hear nightmare stories from other players about the player assistance program. So I just think when guys, he took a leave of absence to try and work on himself, and then there's some jackass out there who did some stupid shit to just bring him down even further. And that's just a low blow, and that's what pisses me off. My biggest thing is, unless you're willing to help, mind your own fucking business. That's the best way I can put it. This guy's trying to work on himself, probably not even for the sole purpose of hockey, but for his life at home with his family. He's trying to make his personal life better, and then you address the hockey issue after that. And it's evident to me that that's what he's working on right now. And I'm disgusted that somebody would go out there and do that, say something about such a nice guy, first of all. And I knew he was bothered when he left Boston. I think that was evident right away. Nobody wanted that. I don't think he wanted it either, deep down. And, him and Swayman had such a deep emotional connection, as friends. And there was a lot of camaraderie on that Bruins team when he left it that unfortunately he had no choice but to leave behind. And, you just feel for the guy. But I think from a mental health standpoint, it's just disgusting to me when someone's going through it and somebody else is out there trying to bring them down even further. That's what pisses me off. It's just ridiculous. But I empathize with Ullmark. And like I said, I've been there, so I get it. But the guy's trying to better himself. He's trying to address these issues. He doesn't need other people interfering.
Yeah, and it sounds, and you mentioned like getting out there and then talking about this and not bottling it up. And it sounds like Ullmark himself has gone through kind of the proper channels and is doing just that by giving these interviews and, stepping away from the game to focus on doing this. So it sounds like he is kind of exploring the proper channels of getting whatever he's fighting, getting that resolved. And anybody that's in that situation, never feel alone. Like, please reach out to somebody or someone you don't know. Like, if you have to go to therapy, just see somebody, just have someone you can talk about anything with, so that way you can avoid being in these dark situations by yourself. And Andrew, thankfully you're still here. The trauma you went through, you defeated it, and you're here to tell the tale. Not everybody is so fortunate in that regard. But that's why, like the way you described it, like that's why it's so frustrating to see that somebody's trying to bring him down, because it just sounds like emotional hell, which is what he's going through. And to have somebody compile on it with completely made up, falsified bullshit like that is just really, it's really frustrating. And there have been other fabricated stories about players in the league over the years. The most recent one I think most of us think of is the Corey Perry and Connor Bedard's mom thing, which was just goofy as hell from the outset. But just making up shit like this, trying to upend people's lives that have done nothing wrong to you. Like, if that's the kind of person you are, you're just a piece of shit, and you just need to shut your fucking mouth, because you're not helping anybody by doing this. You're no longer a fan of a sport. You're just a psychopath with a social media account and a phone number. So if you're the kind of person that does that, you can go fuck yourself. But we did want to take this opportunity to, again, say that, we're standing behind Linus Ullmark, and all real hockey fans are. And, sucks to see that a good person who's already dealing with a lot has to deal with these stupid fucking internet trolls. So I thought that was okay. Yeah, feel free. I just wanted to say that it was, I say that I felt it was important that we opened the show with this, especially given that you have, again, dealt with similar problems in the past. I wanted to get somebody with experience on this. So go ahead.
I will say two things, because here's the other thing. Another reason people don't reach out for help is because they think it makes them feel weak, or that makes them weaker or appear weak. I want to make this perfectly clear. Know this shit hard. There is zero shame in reaching out and asking for help. There is far greater shame in bottling everything up and letting it ruin your life. Reach out, ask for help. There are professionals for a reason. Nobody wants to see anything bad happen to you. And let me tell you this, no matter how bad you feel about yourself, I promise you, this world is a lot better with you in it. All right? And so if you're feeling suicidal, reach out to somebody. Call the National Suicide Lifeline. All you got to do
in the United States is 988.
Correct. That's all you got to do. Somebody will help. There is somebody out there that can and will help you. I promise you.
Or somebody just please get help, because your world's better with you in it.
Exactly.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here and listen to our friends over at Xenopucks. When we come back, we're going to rattle off all the hockey on ice related stuff we have on our show list for today. So we'll be back shortly. This is a Fresh Ice Hockey Podcast.
It's hockey season, and you're looking to work on your stick handling or maybe even your shot, but ice time just isn't an option for you right now. Luckily, our buddies over at Xenopucks have got you covered. They've developed an elite off-ice practice puck that, in addition to looking like the real thing, is the same size and weight as a regulation hockey puck to give you that authentic feel on the end of your stick. It works better than other off-ice practice pucks on almost any surface, whether you use it on hardwood, carpet, concrete, or even asphalt. Xenopucks glide like a real puck on ice. So if you're looking to improve your game without setting foot on the ice, head over to www.xenopucks.com and get yourself a puck. Check out their merch selection and be sure to follow them on Instagram at Xenopucks.
All right, and we're back. So now we're going to address the few hockey-related items we have on our agenda for today's show. A big one that we kind of hinted at in the last show, or teased at in the last show, Mitch Marner's first game in Toronto since joining the Vegas Golden Knights. It was played Friday night. My wife and I watched that game. Man, those boos were something else, man. The passion and the emotion behind each and every boo in that arena when Marner hit the ice was some of the wildest shit I've seen. I mean, those people are pissed. Now, I will say, when they did the video tribute to welcome him back, there was a lot of cheers. I think there were some people who set aside the hatred for just a sec to appreciate the 9 or whatever seasons he was part of the organization, 9 or 10 years he was there. So there were a lot of people who put it aside, but when he came out for warmups and whenever he touched the puck in that game, man, did the people in that building let him hear it.
Yeah. Well, that just goes to show you Leafs fan base. So,
well, I can understand I think part of it is the way he left, kind of taking a swipe at the city on the way out, talk about it being harder to play there and so on. I think people it just left the sour taste in people's mouths. But I'll say this much: the players on the Leafs did not get the memo. I thought Vegas owned that game from start to finish. They scored 2 shots, I think, in their first, or they scored 2 goals in like their first 3 or 4 shots of the game. They were up 2-0, but like 3 minutes in. And they just had their foot on the gas pretty much the whole game. Toronto had a little bit of a push in the second period. It kind of felt like they had like 5 shots the entire third period in a game they were losing. And Vegas it felt like they had their way. Their legs were underneath them the whole game. They were cycling the puck so much better. Toronto just looked overwhelmed, and Vegas looked like a well-oiled machine. And Marner didn't even register any points in that game, but Vegas absolutely put on for him that one. And I'm sure it was one of those money on the board kind of games too. But yeah, that Eichel and Stone combo is ridiculous. On the power play, I mean, that whole power play unit's unbelievable. And now they just bring in Rasmus Anderson as well, which we'll probably talk more about Vegas's roster loadout in next week's show. But man, they just looked like an absolute. It looked like men versus boys out there because Toronto just didn't show up. And I was expecting a high scoring kind of game like that, which I believe the final was 6-3. Like I was expecting it to kind of be a slugfest, but that's not how I thought they'd get there. I thought Toronto was going to have way more fight in them in that game. And again, they just really looked dead except for about a 5 or 10 minute stretch during the game.
Yeah, I will say, granted, the booze and everything, I will tell you this. They still didn't do him as dirty as New York did John Tavares.
Yeah, you know what? That was just genuine hatred.
That was just insane.
And you know what the difference is the Islanders beat the shit out of the Leafs when Tavares came back to the island. I think that was like a 5 or a 6-1 game. Like it was an absolute ass kicking. The Islanders absolutely belted him, and it's kind of funny that both these crazy first game back home kind of games, they both happen. Toronto happened to be the losing end of both of them. The Tavares one, I mean, he played for the Leafs, and Marner, it's his first game back against the Leafs. It was just kind of ironic, but
like you said too, with Marner, when they did the video tribute, people gave him the ovation he deserved.
Yeah, Tavares didn't get that warm welcome though.
No, they booed him after his video tribute.
It's a New York charm.
Yeah, that New York state of mind.
But yeah, that Vegas definitely showed up for Marner though. So that game, I still think kind of fit the bill for how exciting it was going to be. But certainly more exciting if you're a Vegas fan. They just every time you think that they're going to slowly fade away, they just don't this season. There's a couple times a couple points throughout this season where I've had some doubts, but they've quickly alleviated them. Now that Aiden Hill's healthy again, if he can find his groove again and get back to where he normally is, say percentage wise, there's nobody that can. I mean, it's going to be like a Vegas and Colorado conference final. I can see it already.
Right.
But we'll see how things go from here. But man, yeah, we're gonna talk about we're gonna do a league wide check on the standings next episode. I said next season. Next episode we'll do that, and we'll really get into the thick of this. But yeah, Vegas just looked really good, and I just wanted to bring that game up because it was pretty eventful, but not in the ways I would have expected. I would have expected a little more emotion between the players on the ice. But again, Vegas just kept hammering on offense. So there wasn't really a lot of time to build up the real on ice drama that you would have expected.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see like Austin and Mitch barking at each other, or Morgan Riley and Mitch, or something like that. But there was really none of that.
Yeah, there wasn't. But I mean, you still got a good game out of it though. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I wanted to see Vegas come in there and win that game anyway, and they did just that. And like you said, they really put on a show for Marner, and I was happy with the way it turned out. So,
yeah. Yep. So, all right, let's move on here. We're going to talk about the standings in next week's episode, but we could do an entire episode on the Canucks themselves. So we're going to just drop them in here. The Canucks have lost 12 of their last now 13 games, including an 11-game losing streak. The only win that they have since, when was this game? against. This game was December 30th. So the Canucks don't have one win in this calendar year. That kind of tells you all you need to know. I mean, the writing was on the wall. They ship out Quinn Hughes. Like, obviously the team's going a different direction, but again, dropping 11 in a row, which is a franchise record longest losing streak for them. And again, losing 12 out of 13 and some pretty ugly losses, 5-1, 5-3, 6-3, 6-0.
They're down bad.
5-0, 5-1. It's really just as rotten as it can be there right now. And they had a little bit of a resurgence after the Quinn Hughes trade. Everyone's like, oh, maybe this is, maybe it's fine. But since their little 4-game hot streak after the Quinn Hughes trade, they have won 2 games, one against the Kraken and one against the Capitals. So they have won 2 games since December 20th. And, yeah, it's not been good over there. Look, I'm kind of surprised the Canucks have ended up here, given, again, I mean, they were 1 win away from the conference final a couple seasons ago. And just couldn't get it done in Game 7 against the Oilers. It's kind of one of those goofy things that makes you wonder how things would have turned out if just one game would have had a different result. But the Canucks now, at this point, just a few short years later, are without Quinn Hughes, without JT Miller. It sounds like Elias Pettersson's not long for there potentially. They're bringing in a new youth movement, going to try and do a rebuild of some sort here. It's just crazy to see this fall off. I mean, I knew the Canucks were struggling, but when we checked last week or the week before, and I was like, holy shit, I didn't realize the Canucks were this bad. Nothing's good right now there. It's as bad as it can be. This is one of the roughest stretches we've seen a team go on since we started this show.
Yeah, dude, I just got done saying they're down bad, but I mean, that's a massive understatement. This team is being run through the fucking ringer right now. It's bad. I mean, and look, I understand, the loss of Quinn Hughes, but it's still, look, man, as much as one guy can have a huge impact on a team, he wasn't the whole team. So they are in shambles right now. This entire organization. If you're a Canucks fan right now, I don't even know how you're watching hockey at this point.
It's tough.
It's
well,
brutal.
You know what? They have pretty sick jerseys. Those black and red and yellow ones are.
Those are money.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that should just be the logo in the jersey. Make a white version of that for the away, and there you go.
Yeah, dude. I will say those are some of the cleanest unis in the league. But yeah, they're Canucks fans. I feel for you right now. The team is down bad. And very thankful I am not a Canucks fan right now.
Isn't it kind of crazy, unrelated, that Detroit is tied for second best team in the league points wise?
Dude, I told everybody, don't sleep on Detroit. I knew it was a matter of time until that beast woke up, and here we are.
Now, I will say Tampa's 1 point behind them with 3 fewer games played, and Minnesota's a point behind them with the same amount of games played. But yeah, the Wings have absolutely been on a tear, and we talked about it a little while back that John Gibson's play has seemed to be the root of a lot of the success here. But yeah, it's working for them. They look like a different group. That OT when they had against Toronto was kind of crazy as hell. But again, we'll talk more about the Wings when we do our standings breakdown next week, because as it sits right now, they are in the lead in the Atlantic Division.
I will put it to you this far. This is how invested I am in the Wings right now. I've watched more Wings games this year than I have Panthers games. That's how invested I am in them right now, and I want to see them succeed. And I know they can, and they're proving it right now. I mean, they clearly, obviously need to maintain this the rest of the way. But I am sold that the Wings are a fucking wagon, and you will not change my mind.
Yeah, I will be very fascinated to see how they fare in the playoffs now, because at this point, you hope to God, I mean, they're locked to make the playoffs. So assuming they do, you start to look at potential matchups they could have, and not that they're not a good team, but it's like, how is a group entering the playoffs for the first time together going to handle a team that has likely been there at least once or twice recently? Like, Detroit could play a team like Boston, or even a team like the Panthers in the first round, and could find themselves with an unfavorable matchup. But they're so fast and they're so skilled. It's one of the rare cases where I'm like, even if they draw a team that's been there before, I still think, it's not like they're going to get eaten alive. It's not like the Canes in the conference final every year. where they're just going to get chewed up by whatever's on the other end. But with Detroit, it kind of feels like, yeah, even if they play a team that's been there, it doesn't seem like it'll matter because they just have the heart and the speed of that team. The way they move up the ice is unbelievable.
Well, and it all goes back to, like you said, they're getting elite level goaltending right now out of John Gibson. He has just been insane for them. And I didn't even think they needed that to become a good team. I just thought if they can get decent goaltending out of John Gibson, they'll be just fine. And they've been getting far more than that. And that it's been carrying. Obviously, they can score. Like, the team across the board is good. So that obviously goes a long way. But the goaltending they're getting out of Gibson is like the heart and soul of this team right now.
Yeah, Patty Kane is so close to being the highest scoring American player ever. I think he's sitting like 2 or 3 points away. So I thought for sure when Detroit played Minnesota the other night, he notoriously stomps Minnesota. So I was expecting a big night from him, but the Wild actually held them at bay there. That was a really good game.
We do have to talk about one thing real quick, or just address it, because you saying Patty Kane reminded me of this. The Jonathan Toews return to the United
Yes,
Center.
yeah, we did. Dude. I did miss that. You're right. Yeah, that was goosebumps for sure. That was quite the ovation. I can't believe I missed it. Thanks for catching that.
Yeah, dude, it was such a long ovation. He took multiple laps around the ice.
He had to tell the crowd to quiet down because they were just going to keep going. If he kept coming back out, they were going to keep cheering.
Yeah,
and by the way, when you captain a team to 3 Stanley Cups. That's the welcome home you deserve. That was unbelievable. Chicago put on for their former captain.
Right, and you have to. I mean, and this is just for me, and it helps that it was the era we grew up watching hockey in. But when you think Chicago Blackhawks, like, at least for me, the first name that comes to mind is Jonathan Toews.
Dude, it's crazy when let's start with a conversation about the Canucks. They're so bad we can't even keep the topic on them.
Yeah.
We'll get back to them in a sec. Dude, Chicago was so good with Toews. I remember, I don't know if it was NHL.com, but I remember reading an article from a major hockey outlet that said, is Jonathan Toews, it was either, is Jonathan Toews the best captain in hockey, or is Jonathan Toews a better captain than Sidney Crosby? It was something to that effect. And just the thought of, is Toews a better captain than Crosby? The fact that could even be asked as a question shows how good of a hockey player and how good of a leader he was. And you could even argue in his favor in that case, is that when he was at his best, he was better than Sid as a leader and so on and so forth. But again, Sid also has won 3 Stanley, or Sid has also captained his team to 3 Stanley Cups. So, but yeah, Toews in his prime in Chicago, there was nothing quite like it. I'm so glad he doesn't play there anymore. I'm so glad him and Kane are both out of Chicago.
Yeah. They're probably not. Well, Kane's loving his life right now, and Toews is playing for his hometown team. So
I think Toews is just happy to be back. Obviously, I think everybody pretty much but expected that the Jets would be way in a better spot than they are. But It is what it is. Hellebuck just hasn't had his groove since he's come back.
Correct. But I think, just as a hockey fan, everybody's just happy to see Toews playing hockey, and just as much as he's happy to be playing again. And again, the guy, he went and worked on himself, and he said, I'll come back when I'm ready. That goes back to our mental health thing from before. You got to make yourself happy before you can make other people happy.
Yeah, Toews went through quite the journey to get back, but that was quite the ovation for him. Absolutely. In Chicago.
That was one of the best returns I've ever seen. So.
All right, so I'm going to swing this back to the Canucks before we close with our Blue Jackets segment. Look, the Canucks, again, it's as bad as it can be right now. It really is. But they're very clearly going to be picking top 3 in the draft. I mean, they're going to finish probably with the worst record at this point. They're just that bad right now. But they're going to for sure get a top 4 pick no matter what. And I would be stunned if they didn't get one of the top 2 just because of the draft lottery odds. Or the draft lottery odds, sorry. They're going to have a chance to draft a generational player here. There could still be a quick turnaround. It's not perfect. I really have less and less faith in the goaltending there by the minute. But they have some good players there. They could go out and hit a home run trade on somebody's goalie. I mean, you never know. The turnaround can be quick when you draft like that. I mean, in this league, we've learned it doesn't always have to take much. There are some good players still with the Canucks and some prospects developing with them that pan out to be, or that should pan out as pretty good players. So
right.
we shall see. But in the meantime, it's tough to watch. I can't believe they've lost so many games. 12 of 13 is just nuts.
Insane, yeah.
All right, we're going to go to a team that's on the opposite end of that chaos in Columbus. So we talked last episode that obviously things have gone quite well with under Don Waddell. It's just crazy to think that a team has changed its GM changed its coach, and they've jumped right back into the mix, or they're trying to jump back into the mix. Buffalo's the team that changed their GM and decided they were going to be really good, but we'll talk about them more when we do our standings breakdown next week. For Columbus, look, it started off 3 in a row. Now it's 6 of 7, which is a very impressive stretch for them. And it's both goalies are getting the nods in these games, so it's a well-balanced attack. Point contributions have been relatively well-balanced. I thought Charlie Coyles looked pretty good recently, I would say. Obviously he's pretty much come as advertised for them, but I think he's stuck out to me in the couple games I've seen of theirs or highlights that I've watched. He's looked pretty solid. Kirill Marchenko gets the hat trick Saturday night against Tampa Bay, which that game was crazy. I didn't get to watch that, but there was some chaos there. The own goal from Lundestrom and Jet Greaves, the Olivier getting ready to kill. I can't think of the guy on Tampa now. But saying, I'm going to get you or I'll find you or whatever the hell he said in that scrum. But the team as a whole is just playing. The energy is just so much better. And I can't believe it. It's just, Bonus has come in and just been a rock star with this club. They just look like a different hockey team. The structure is so much better. Obviously, this game against Tampa, from the highlights that I watched, there was a little bit less of that, but they've just looked really good. And yeah, the loss to the Senators kind of stings, especially with how bad Ottawa is. But the goalies are both playing well. They're getting pretty well distributed scoring too. So it's not like one guy's on a heater. Although, like I said, Coyle has been very effective for them the past couple games.
Yeah, I think right now the Columbus Blue Jackets are a textbook example of what happens when making a coaching change is the right move. And that's proven to be, that's what the issue was, at least from what we can tell so far. Like you said, they look like a completely different team. They look alive out there now. That's the biggest thing. You're getting contributions from both goalies now. Elvis has turned it around in my book. He's looking good. I think that this was just long overdue. And I think, part of the problem was everybody wanted it to work out with Evason. Like, I think we were kind of in denial of the fact that he was the problem. And then it finally just reached a breaking point where we're like, all right, this guy's got to go, because what else could it be at this point?
Yeah. I'm just concerned with how much work there still is to do. Like, yeah, they're playing really well. Like, they look confident. Like, this looks like the team we saw at the start of the season, but they've had this hot streak of 6 wins in 7 games, and they're still 7 points out of a playoff spot. And again, we talked last week that it's getting really jammed and really competitive in this Eastern Conference. The Jackets might just be victim of the numbers game. The more I look at this, like, yeah, they're on a heater, but unless they win like 17 of 20, like, they're going to have a hard time getting back into this race and actually really being in it, other than just trying to fight for that last playoff spot. Like, if they're going to be in the thick of this, this is something where they're going to have like a really unreal run here. I mean, they've started off good. 6 out of 7 is great. If you do that 3 times, that's 18 to 21, which is exactly kind of what they need to do. But I'm just worried with where we're at in this season that they're going to fall victim to the numbers game.
Yeah, and that's a very strong possibility, honestly. But it's just kind of one of those situations where you sit back and you're like, all right, so far things are looking good. Let's trust the process for now. Let's not panic until we have a reason to. Right now, I don't have any reason to doubt their abilities, because they're showing what they're capable of with what they have right now. So obviously, we'll see what happens at the trade deadline too. I don't know what the move is there, if any, but that's going to be a big factor. We'll also see if they can carry this momentum coming back from the Olympic break as well. That's going to be a huge factor. Not just for them too, for any team. Obviously, that much time off can affect teams in a variety of different ways. But when you're on a hot streak like this, That's my concern, is they're on this hot streak right before a huge break in the season. And my biggest concern is, can they maintain this coming back from that break?
I also just realized too, they're actually only 4 points out of a playoff spot. The Metro is so bad that the Bruins, who have the second wild card, have 3 more points than the Islanders, who are number 3 in the Metro. So the Jackets now I actually have to completely change my thought on this, because they're only 4 points out and they have the same amount of games played as the Islanders. Now, all of a sudden, this is a way different formula. So I'm going to completely backpedal what I just said and say, all right, now you're back in the thick of it. Go snag one of these divisional spots, because you're 6 points behind Pittsburgh and 4 behind the Islanders. And there's no reason now that you can't catch them. So now this turned into needing to win 18 out of 21. This is just play above 500 hockey, and you're going to have a really great chance. And if they stay on anything, where they're winning 60 or 70% of their games, all of a sudden it's like almost a walk into the playoffs. So actually I have to completely change that. I can't believe I didn't notice that. But yeah, at this point now it's like, okay, you found your identity. And to your point, like, maybe there shouldn't be time, or maybe this really isn't time to panic, because again, they look so similar to how they started the year that, all right, if you're 4 points out, go take it now. You've put yourself in a prime spot to get there. And yes, again, this is still a tight race, even now that I realize that the standings sit a little different than I had thought. This is still a tight race though, because there's Philly in your way, Jersey, Washington, and of course, Pittsburgh and the Islanders are in those 2 and 3 spots. You're obviously not going to catch Carolina, barring something miraculous.
Right.
But there's obstacles, but there's not a huge point spread because of this hot streak. So yeah, go take it. Now I'm like, you know what? Werenski's on having a Norris type season anyways. Goalies are playing hot, ride the hot streak and get back into this damn thing. We can get some playoff games in April.
But that still comes back to what I said. Can they maintain this after the break?
Yeah, that is a huge factor. And again, players could get injured now. I think Zach Werenski is one of the only guys on this team that's going to the Olympics, because Marchenko, Russia's not having a team, so him and Voronkov wouldn't go. Fantilli's not going. Coyle's not going. Kent Johnson's not going. So, yeah, I mean, really, other than Zach Werenski, and is he even on the Olympic team? Yeah, he's got to be on the Olympic team.
Yeah, he is.
So, I mean, as long as Z can stay healthy, they actually might be in a pretty good spot here. So, I'm so much happier now than I was at the start of this segment. I thought they were in it way deeper still. Now I'm like, oh, shit, the Islanders only have 4 points up on them. Go catch those assholes.
Yeah, and I'm with you. We're not home free yet, though. Obviously, there's
not in the slightest, especially with how well the Islanders and the Penguins have played. I mean, Stuart Skinner's a man on a mission over there right now. I can't believe how well he's done for them the last little bit. And the Islanders, obviously, between Sorokin's elevated play again this year, are just not being sub 900, and how well Schaefer has gelled their team together. I mean, they're not a pushover. They're not going to fall over and get out of your way, and the Penguins will never go away as long as Sid's there. So the Jackets, like, yeah, they're in it, but you're right. You got to maintain this coming out of the Olympic break, because this is going to be what makes or breaks the season now. But they're back in it. The Eastern Conference is very strange.
Yeah, the Eastern Conference is the stranger of the two conferences consistently.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll do it for us. We're going to come back. We're going to come back next Sunday, and now we'll save our Super Bowl predictions for the Super Bowl show.
I agree, because this is a football podcast.
Although maybe we won't, because we usually don't post till Sunday night or Monday morning, and by then the Super Bowl will have been played.
No, Super Bowl's not this coming weekend. It's the following weekend.
No, I know, but the following weekend, if we record the same day and don't upload it till after the Super Bowl, what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, we can make our Super Bowl predictions this coming Sunday then.
All right, that's what we'll do then,
because at least we'll know who's in it. So.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, we will be back next Sunday. Again, we'll have probably a little bit of a longer show, but we're going to do a really thick combing through the overall league standings and kind of see where we're at. I mean, again, we're well past the halfway point of the season. So I think this would be kind of a golden opportunity to go through and see who are the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're much further into this year. So unless you have anything else, Andrew, I'm all set.
No, I'm pretty good, man. I think we're all squared away here, sir.
All right. Well, everybody, you have a great week. I'm just gonna say stay warm because I think almost anybody that listens to this show is in an area right now where we're having this awful winter storm ice thing. You and I are looking at about a half a foot plus of snow right now, and the rest of the country is dealing with something similar to that or sub-zero temperatures and multiple inches of ice on the ground.
Yep. So everybody stay warm, stay inside if you can.
All right. We will see you guys next week.